Let's listen.
Welcome to Man on the Street. Today I'm visiting with the lead guitarist of one of the most legendary rock power pop bands in Detroit's history. They were formed in 1977 and their music was all over the radio and MTV and in the dance scene throughout the 1980s and well beyond. In fact, today you can still hear their music on terrestrial radio, satellite radio commercials with songs like What I Like About You, When I Look in Your Eyes, One in a Million, and Talking in Your Sleep. I'm honored today to be joined by Mr. Mike Skill of the Romantics. Mike, thanks for coming on Man on the Street today. How are you?
Hey, Jamie, thanks for having me on Man on the Street. Yeah, I had a good show the other night, and can't wait to get back in town and do some more.
Mike, let's head back to your junior high days and talk about you and some friends. Frank, Chris, and Charlie formed a neighborhood band influenced by psychedelic music. You called it High Tide. It's a perfect name for that band. And you guys would play, the venues were like school dances around the east side of Detroit. Tell me, was that really where your journey began as a professional rock musician?
Good question. I don't know if it was first professional, but I was still learning guitar, so I was learning how to play and put songs together, put a set together, and rehearsal and dragging our equipment around in the wagon, you know, that kind of thing. And finally got gigs at the church on the east side, St. Ambrose, and it was really great because the camaraderie I was learning with other musicians and with Charlie Morelli, Frank Licavoli, and Gerald Smith. Just a little pop rock band, and we were kind of steeped in that Van Morrison, Shadows of Night, and Booze Magoo stuff, and Detroit rock and roll. The teen clubs, we're listening to Scott Morgan and Wayne Kramer, the MC5, Wayne Kramer and Fred Smith, doing "Looking at You" on their little single, their 45, and we were just learning about that stuff, those bigger bands in Detroit. So Bob Seger was just coming out with 2+2 and all that, and we were just so excited. These bands were really kicking them out at teen clubs around Detroit.
Mike, let's go to the point where you and the legendary drummer for the Romantics, Jimmy Marinos, you guys formed the band Motor City Rockers, and you actually called up CBGB's directly and booked a gig. That must have been a very exciting time in your life. Tell me, how did that happen?
Let's see, we had this house over in Grosse Pointe Park, and not us, a friend of ours, a singer, and he played harmonica. And it was 4 of us got together, and we went to this house, and we tore the basement apart, and we painted it all red. The whole basement was red with all this fiberglass up, this soundproofing, and we became the Motor City Rockers there. And cats that were hanging around with us got the ambition to call CBGB's, and they called and talked to Hilly Crystal over there in New York, and we got the gig. We got the job. Surprise to us. We had read about CBGB's in Hit Parader magazine. All the bands were playing there, Ramones, Blondie, and we got some show in the middle of the week. It was probably on a Wednesday. We got there. We drove. Well, we picked up a truck, put Jimmy's drums in the truck. I rode with Marinos, and drove all the way to New York. And on the way, we broke down in around Cleveland, Ohio. Had to get another truck. Finally made it to New York and pulled in. Unloaded pretty much that night and played the show. I met Sylvain. Sylvain was there. Let's see, Didi Ramon we met. That was pretty crazy, and we packed up and we hung a little bit for a day, but and saw a few sights and headed back. But just to do that, to pull it all together. Putting a tour together, a show together, and a trip together was like major. It was a big deal because we hadn't done that before, gone out to New York.
Mike, when the original lineup of the Romantics was in place, that's you, Jimmy Marinos, Wally Palmer, and Rich Cole. You guys started writing hits, going out on tour with bands like Cheap Trick and the Ramones. Tell me, what was your mindset at that time where it got so big, so fast probably? I mean, were you guys surprised about that, or was it expected?
Buddy Carlos used to collect tapes, cassette tapes, these little square things with tape in it. And he collected all these pop bands. He liked pop bands, like Beatlesque kind of bands, Dave Clark 5. And he took our tape. We had been playing all around Chicago, New York, Boston. And we gave him a tape, and that's actually how we got noticed by CBS Records, because he would hand them into the A&R agents. But yeah, Cheap Trick was they're like our big brother band. And the Ramones, we ended up doing that on the first tour. The Romantics first album came out, and we were out for a couple months with the Ramones. It was really cool. Like, Joey was such a cool cat on stage, talking to him while in the middle of a song where it would go into a bass thing, or he'd walk on the side, and I'm standing there, and he goes, "Man, I love your band." I'm telling him, "We dig you guys," and we both were fighting to climb up the ladder because radio did not play us. They weren't playing any of the new bands that were coming out. It was really tough getting on radio at the time.
The first gig for the Romantics was at the My Fair Lady Club in Detroit, opening up for the new MC5 back in 1977. Big night for you. What do you remember?
The My Fair Lady. Let's see, Robert Gillespie was putting together the new MC5 with Rob Tyner. And he came over, heard that we were putting a band together, and it wasn't the Romantics yet. By the time we got on stage, it was the Romantics, but he was with the MC5, and they were doing a showcase, and he wanted us to open the show. And he came over, liked the set, and then Rob came over, Rob Tyner. They both liked the show, what we were doing. They asked us to open the show. And for that show, it was all the news people, radio people, press were going to be there. And they were going to present the new MC5. Well, we came out, we had been listening to all this stuff in England, London, the punk stuff, and stuff out of New York and LA. So we kind of had this new look, this new real tight skinny pants, small collars on your jacket, and ties, skinny ties, and short hair, and real high energy, simple songs, short songs, good choruses. And we went on, and it kind of just, it really went over really well. That's the best I want to say, but we kind of took the show. But from that point on, it was, we started on the road. We went on the road from there.
You just had a gig Friday night here in the Metro Detroit area at the Token Lounge, the Mike Skill Band. Tell me, what is it that you have going right now musically? Is there anything you want to plug? And what do you see happening coming into 2023 as we head toward the new year?
Well, what happened was a year ago, we got a call from Doug Podell saying he was going to do a new homegrown record. And homegrown records were out in the 80s, around that time, for local bands. There were so many local bands putting out new music and playing that the idea of putting out songs on one record came about, so they could play it on the radio. On the radio, a lot of bands weren't getting played because they were brand new bands, and so they had radio shows on Sunday night where they played new stuff. And that's what we did. He called me last year and decided to put 67 Riot out on that, and that's how it happened. And we look forward to playing a lot of shows coming up around Detroit and Michigan, and get out there and really promote this new thing that I'm doing. It's a lot of raw Detroit energy music, still with your pop choruses and attitude. And I've been using, Ricky Rat's been playing with me, and Laura Mendoza playing too, and Brad Elvis on drums from Romantics, and it's been really good. It's kind of taken a life of its own, and I'm going to keep moving with it and see what happens. Thanks for asking.
Mike, you make your home now in Portland, Oregon. How often do you get back to the Detroit area?
Portland's good. Detroit's my hometown. Grew up here, 10 years old, and I'm hearing Smokey Robinson sing "Better Shop Around," and then all the teen clubs opened up with the MC5 and Rashos and Amboy Dukes and all that. So my whole creative thing is based around Detroit, and a ton of friends, and my whole music inside of me comes out from the area, from living here. It's a different animal. It's just a whole different way of writing and playing your instrument, and the attitude is completely different than anywhere else. And we have such a large past generations of history, from jazz in the 20s and 30s all the way up to now. But I wouldn't be what I am right now without Detroit. And Portland really reminds me of Ann Arbor in the early 70s and late 60s. It's really a college town, a lot of young people. You walk outside, you go downtown, and you feel like creating something. You want to create art, you want to create music. It's really that kind of beatnik, kind of revolutionary kind of thing. It's really good for an artist.
I want to thank Mike Skill for joining me today on Man in the Street. And people, please keep up with what he has going on Facebook at Mike Skill. And also he has a website, MikeSkill.com, and on all social media. And we will see you next time on Man in the Street, because everybody has something to say, so let's listen. Take care, everyone.
It's Richard Blade here from Sirius XM's First Wave, and I just want to say thank you for watching Jamie Wheatley's Man on the Street. Make sure you tune in for the next one. It's always so good.